Welcome, college football recap. A little late this week, but got a lot to talk about. Number 6, Oklahoma goes down. Number 7, USC almost goes down. Number 5, Clemson almost goes down. Number 4, Michigan almost goes down. Georgia struggles with Kent State.
Hmm.
What a wild weekend it was. We're gonna cover it all, Mr. Bragg.
Yeah.
Watched college football last weekend.
Yes, I did. It was good.
I mean, it was I feel like we're sound like a broken record every week saying it was the best weekend of college football, but it truly may have been the best weekend.
I think this one was just because all the close toss-up games and then the big teams almost losing. I would say it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I don't know. This year's just been amazing for football, and I feel like it's just going to continue to get better. I mean, this week looks like we have an incredible slate already. I think we have 5 or 6 top 25 matchups. I could be stretching it there, but there are a lot of them. We have a top 10 matchup this week. We're not going to talk too much about this coming week, but last weekend, it was amazing. Georgia looked human finally. They did not look like a juggernaut this weekend, but they are. But I mean, they looked like they were beatable finally. Oklahoma really surprised people. Really,
Disappointing.
Very disappointing.
We were so high.
And we thought the defense was a different. I mean, we thought it was a different Oklahoma defense than we've seen. And Adrian Martinez said, "I'm just going to score 5 touchdowns, 4 of them rushing." Like,
right?
What?
Yeah.
Very, very disappointed in that. Miami lost to Middle Tennessee State. Whew. Arkansas goes down to A&M. Nasty, ugly game. Both of them teams just very disappointing this year already.
Yeah. It's weird. I know we were saying Arkansas wasn't top 10, but I didn't think they were that bad. I thought they could hold that one.
Right. How you want? I mean, we can just go. You want to go over top 25 or the ones we picked? What do you want to do?
Let's do the top 25 first.
Okay. The top 25.
And then we can say like the game they had, recap, and then,
Yep. Like I just said, Miami goes down to Middle Tennessee State, 45-31 at home. They scored. I mean, Middle Tennessee State had a 98-yard touchdown. Listen to this. They only had 14 first downs. When you think about that, Middle Tennessee, by the way, they had 14 first downs. It was big play after big play. The quarterback threw for 3 touchdowns, 408 yards. The leading wide receiver, you want to hear his stat line?
What do you have?
2 receptions. You ready for this? 169 yards and 2 touchdowns on 2 receptions.
That's a lot of big plays.
That's 2 of them, and that's all he needed, I guess. But
2 touchdowns.
He's the reason they won, 45-31. Without him, they'd be 31.
And they had another 69-yard touchdown in there, too.
Hey, bro. I'm sorry. I'm trying to check my phone. What in the world? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to check my college football. I mean, not college football. My college classes to see if they're canceled tomorrow. They start being canceled at 3:30 tomorrow. You know what time my class is tomorrow? 12.
Oh, unlucky.
Oh, well. Nothing I can do about that. If Georgia Southern winds up canceling theirs, I'll be done too. Or I will be canceled too. But anyway, Pittsburgh, this is a weird game, hosted Rhode Island. They won 45-24. The running back from Pitt, 177 yards. Abanikanda.
Right.
4 touchdowns. Impressive. Congrats, Brody. You need to do it because Patty can't do it. Texas.
He's not, bro. It's Slovis.
Oh, Slovis played?
Yes.
Oh,
He's been back.
Excuse me. Texas Tech beats Texas. Like I said, let's not jump the gun. Texas isn't back. I do think with viewers they are a lot better than they showed, but Texas Tech beats them in overtime, 37.
That was a really good game. That was one of the games I did watch. That was a great game.
It was. Texas was up 24-14 at the half. Second half was all Red Raiders, and then Texas fumbles in overtime or something like that. Next was the night BYU beats Wyoming 38-24. First time Wyoming's lost since Darren put them on watch.
And they didn't even get blown out, not really. So good for them.
I mean, they scored 14 in the fourth quarter to make it close, but we won't criticize.
Hey, points is points.
Points are points. Washington, another win, beat Stanford 40-22. Penix was amazing again, 309, 2 touchdowns. Talia-Papa, I guess that's how you say that. Talia-Papa, whatever. 120 yards, 1 tutty. Stanford had an outstanding receiver. What's his name? Wilson?
Michael Wilson, I think.
Michael Wilson. 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. Congrats.
He went off.
You need he'll transfer somewhere else next year or draft, so it doesn't
Come
matter.
to Georgia. We need receivers.
Hey, you heard the man. He put you on watch. Baylor squeaks out a close one against Iowa State.
That was a good game too. Yeah, that was a good game.
Baylor better get their heads turned around because they got a big one this week. Oklahoma State this week. Ole Miss, weird game. Almost loses to Tulsa. They get the win though, 35-27. I'm not too huge on this Dart guy. I don't know why everyone else is. What's he done to be aggressive?
Just runs the ball really good. Ran for over 100. He's really mobile, so that's why.
Oregon
fits that offense.
Yeah. Oregon uses a 29-point fourth quarter to beat Washington State 44-41. This was all Washington State for most of the game. Oregon did not look impressive. Fourth quarter, I think they had maybe 2 pick sixes. So, but Bo Nix threw for 428, 3 touchdowns. So he was 33 of 34 or 33 of 44. So he was very, very, very. It was a quality outing for him.
Yeah, he played great toward the end, at least.
Yeah. Penn State beats Central Michigan. I mean, the score looks a lot closer than I'm sure it was, 33-14. I mean, I'm not going to dive too deep into that one. We know how good Penn State can be.
Right.
Utah beats Arizona State 34-13. I watched a little bit of this one because I couldn't find the stupid USC Oregon State game. But this game, there wasn't much to this game. Emory Jones played pretty decent. NC State obviously wins. They host my number one, according to my TikTok, UConn. Beat them 41-10. Leary actually looked half decent this week.
It's about time they beat a team by more than like 10 points.
Yeah. I mean, I'll share my thoughts about NC State later. You know how I feel. I mean, we'll talk about that later. We have later on the week at the end. We'll kind of preview a little bit. Right. I mean, if you know who I'm a fan of, you probably know I'm not big on them. But Florida goes to Tennessee. Thank God they lose because I'm tired of seeing them in the rankings. They lose 38-33. There was 1,100 yards of offense in this game. I don't think either defense even knew there was a game being played. I don't know. I didn't watch the game.
To be fair, Tennessee won without their number one receiver.
They did do that. I mean, I didn't watch the game. Did they go out there against Air? Were they playing?
It felt like it. I didn't really catch much of this game either, but I just saw it was a bunch of scoring.
And I feel like it wasn't as close as it seemed. I think the fourth quarter was a kind of a weird one. 23-21, A&M fights back a little bit, gets Arkansas. Big SEC win.
It is, yeah.
I don't remember if I said it on here or not or just told you. I think Arkansas is going to lose 4 games, and I think they might just be in a row. They go to
I think
Alabama.
you said that. I think you did say that on here.
Yeah, I think they go to I mean, I know they go to Alabama this week, so I really think they may starting with that one lose 4 in a row. Kentucky host. For all you people out there that want to hype up Kentucky, this is why I can't. 1-3 Northern Illinois. You beat them by 8 points.
Missing their starting quarterback.
Missing their starting quarterback. I'm not buying into the UK hype. I'm sorry. I'm just not.
I will buy into the defensive hype, though. The defense looks good.
Oh, I agree. And maybe they're just looking ahead a little bit to Ole Miss. That's acceptable. It happens as long as you got out of there with a win. Ole Miss is going to be a tough game for them this week, though.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. Though, because Ole Miss didn't look good either. So it's just hard to tell.
It is hard. I think both teams may have got caught looking ahead a little bit.
Maybe so.
USC struggle tremendously with my Oregon State Beavers.
They did.
Not saying as like my favorite team, but I'm big on the Beavers. I told Darren at the start of the year I was big on the Beavers. He laughed at me. They made Caleb Williams look like he's never played quarterback before. And I know that sounds stupid, but they scored 14 in the fourth, and he probably got 130 of those passing yards in the fourth quarter. So that Oregon State defense and the Pac-12, I don't know if you remember the picture, but Mr. Bragg was sleeping on the Pac-12. It may just be a little bit better than we thought it was going to be.
It could be. Maybe just a little bit.
USC
it is still weak.
Oh, I think it is too. USC gets out of Corvallis with a win, 17-14. I mean, very disappointing. One bright spot was Travis Dye.
Travis Dye.
133 yards, 1 touchdown on 19 carries. I mean, he was impressive. He was their only thing they had going, though. The pass offense was rough.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State, coming off of probably got caught looking ahead and lost, comes in. Adrian Martinez says, watch this. And Kansas State beats Oklahoma. And it kind of wasn't even as close as it looks, honestly. I watched this whole game. Adrian Martinez, 4 touchdowns, 148 yards. He had 4 touchdown rushing. I think he had 1 passing, but I couldn't.
Yeah, he did.
He looked incredible. And I'm going to go ahead and mention this now before we get on without me talking about it. The Nebraska curse is a real thing. Northwestern has every team that beats Nebraska loses the next week so far. All 3 teams. Northwestern, they still haven't won since. Georgia Southern broke the curse this past weekend, but they did lose the first game after Nebraska. And Oklahoma, they beat Nebraska, lose the next week. So Nebraska may just be a bigger powerhouse than you think they are in a different way.
Basically, just don't schedule Nebraska.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're going to –
either way, you're going to lose to them or you're going to lose the game after. So just don't.
Right. I mean, as bad as they are, the best they can do is just put a curse on you.
Right.
Number 5, my Tigers, go to Wake Forest and win 51-45 in double overtime. My reaction to this is how impressed I was by the offense. I was glad to see the offense win a game for Clemson. And so that was a big part for me. Even though the defense played bad, I mean, I'm just proud of the offense. Michigan hosts Maryland. They struggled here a bit too, just like Clemson did. Corum took over. Holy crap.
Yeah, he went off.
30 carries, 243 yards for 2 touchdowns. I didn't know he had that good of a game.
He's their only offense. They have no air offense. They have no receivers.
Yeah, I agree. Their best receiver was a tight end. So, Schoonmaker.
Yep.
Ohio State. I wanted to say before, I feel like Michigan maybe should have slipped a little bit in the polls, but we'll talk about that later. Ohio State hosts Wisconsin. in a primetime matchup, which is really weird. I don't know why this game was primetime. Ohio State does exactly what everybody expected them to do to Wisconsin. 52-21. The offense looks like the best in the country. The offense is the best in the country. Stroud looks great. 281, 5 touchdowns. And another receiver emerging, Egbuka. I guess that's how you pronounce it.
I think it's something like that.
Egbuka, maybe. Looks amazing. 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's just what they need is another wide receiver.
They got him and Marvin Harrison Jr. just killing.
And then once Jackson Smith-Njigba comes back,
yeah,
you know how that's going to be. And I would like to say that one thing does worry me about the Ohio State team is the defense, but I think we knew that already. They gave up 170 yards to the running back from Wisconsin. But, I mean, that's when you got an offense like that right now, I would not fret. Alabama handles Vanderbilt just like we expected, 55-3. Maybe some people were hoping Vanderbilt could be a little bit better and more competitive. We knew what this was going to be like. Nobody bought into that. Bryce Young, 385, 4 tutties. He played great. Kent State, Georgia. What happened with your Bulldogs this weekend? Turnovers, really? Turnovers.
And bad defense for a little bit.
Very bad.
I mean, 22 points is not – well, it's in the grand scheme, it's not bad defense. It's just not what we're used to.
Right.
So, in Georgia standards, this is bad defense.
Right.
Kent State is terrible.
Granted, Kent State did score. I mean, Georgia just gave up a few big plays. And they haven't so far, and they did this week. So, I mean, that'll just be a story to tell for the next coming weeks where they give up the big play. They're not going to give up the big play to Missouri. Missouri's not very good at all.
No, they're awful. They lost to Auburn.
Exactly. So, I don't even know that Georgia will get tested. I think they're far better than Kentucky and far better than Tennessee. But I'm not concerned at all. But
I'm not either. No, I'm not either.
I think you'll see a lot about the defense when they play Tennessee. I don't think they'll lose to Tennessee, but I think they could give up a good amount of points to Tennessee if they don't play well. But I don't think there's no way they lose that game. But anyway, I got off a tangent right there. That's all the top 25. We picked, or we'll go back to our pick 'em at the end. We always do. Week 5 college football poll. For me, we both have them. You want me to start it off, or you want to start it off?
You can start it off.
Okay, I'm going first off with Syracuse at 25. They're 4-0. Sure, they barely got out of there with a win against Virginia. They were up the whole game. Just got a little lackadaisical in the fourth quarter. And they turned it up when they had to get a last-second stop. Sometimes you just get lazy. Syracuse got lazy. They're 4-0. Sean Tucker said he's not pleased with his performance. But that is okay. If you don't have him on Twitter, you need to go get him because he gives you his stats every game and he tells you how good he did or how bad he did. They're 25th for me. I'm excited to see what the Orange can do this year.
Yeah, so for me, I have Pitt at 25. Syracuse didn't make my rankings just because I feel like their wins have been a lot more I don't want to say fluky, but just too close.
Yeah.
Compared to a 4-0 team like Kansas, where they've looked a lot more, just better, just a better team. And it's hard. There's a lot of up and down teams, and then there's a lot of good teams who could make their way in. Syracuse is on that same level. They're right out there. But anyways, to Pitt. Pitt beat Rhode Island. It looks like their offense is kind of getting its what's the word I'm looking for?
Getting its speed under them.
Yeah, they just look better. And their only loss in the year being to a Tennessee team without their starting quarterback. Like
we've said time and time again, they win that game with Slovis.
Exactly, yeah. And so they're going to be 25 for me.
Yeah, I can agree to that. I would put Pitt. I didn't put Pitt in yet this week. I don't know why I didn't. I'm sorry, Pitt. Should have. But Kansas State is 24th for me. Big win on the road at Oklahoma. That's not a tough place, or that's not a easy place to win at. They come away with the victory. Adrian Martinez looks great, but he'll probably look awful this week. That's usually how that goes with him. No offense, by the way, but Kansas State's 24th for me.
Yeah, I got Kansas State as 24 as well. They just looked. They're up and down, inconsistent, but they have to be. They have to be there now.
Right. I wish they would not have lost to Tulane the week before, because
Yeah, they could be top 15.
right, they could look. They looked really good before that. I was high on them before the Tulane loss, and I was going to pick them before they lost that game against Oklahoma. I mean, I was going to pick them against Oklahoma, but I didn't because they lost that game. They were probably looking ahead, got caught up in it. Baylor is number 23 for me.
Mhm.
They won. They're back in my. They weren't in my rankings last week. They're back in. They beat a decent Iowa State team on the road. So
Yeah, 23 for me is Kansas. They went up a little bit. They looked a little iffy against the Duke, but they did pull out the win. So I have to, I have to keep them in there.
I mean, I don't think Duke's as much of a slouch as everybody thinks they are either. So
I don't either, but I just think, again, it's just not convincing enough for me to put them any higher.
Granted, 22 for me is going to have to be Arkansas. They look awful. They controlled that game for the whole game and they blew it. They just found a way to lose that game. Nobody thinks twice about it if they make that field goal at the end and there. But to me, they're going to be 22nd. And they're probably going to get, if they lose to Alabama this week, they're going to be gone. They're going to be out of there. I'm sorry.
Okay. 22 for me, I got Florida State. I talked about it last week. Florida State is just a
Pretty good.
machine at the moment, at least. They beat Boston College by like 30 last week. I know that's not like a great win.
No, that's a really good win for Florida State right now.
Right, yeah. It just solidifies them even more. So I got Florida State at 22.
Yeah, I got them pretty high. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Wake Forest, they're at 21 for me. I had them at 19 last week, I believe. Played amazing. Offense was great. Sam Hartman was amazing, just like we expected. I mean, I think the Wake team can be really good. They just kind of got caught up in a bad scheduling, so they may lose this week because they kind of did they played Clemson, then they had to turn around the next week and play Florida State. Kind of worries me for Wake. They may fall out after this week because I think they may lose to Florida State. But no, I mean they played amazing. The defense wasn't great at all, but the offense looked really, really, really good. I think they're a top 10 offense in the country.
Was that your 22 or your 21? 21, right?
21, yeah.
21, they're sticking around again. I got BYU.
Wow.
I have BYU. They beat Wyoming semi-easily. They're getting their guys back healthy. So I'm going to keep them here now. If they drop another game, they probably won't see the top 25 for the rest of the year, though.
Oh, wow. Even if they go 10-2?
They're just on watch.
Oh,
They're just a little iffy right now. But I do think they're a consistent team, so I think they'll probably stay around here.
All right. Yeah, 20's up next. A&M, you know I don't like this. You know that this pained me to put them there. You knew that. I'm not big on the Aggies at all, but I figured I had to put them in front of Arkansas because they did win the game, solely because I do think that they go again and lose this weekend. I'm not trying to preview too much, but I do think they go to Mississippi State and lose. But they're my 20th rank right now. And I don't think they even finished the year in the rankings. I will say that.
It's funny you had them at 20 because I actually have Arkansas at 20, and A&M didn't make my top 25.
Wow.
Because I think you have A&M who barely beat a Miami team who just lost to Middle Tennessee. And then they barely won at home. So I think this is more of a thing of if Arkansas is home, they win this game.
Right.
I think Arkansas is still the better team. But again, they lost, and so they're going to be my 20th for now.
Makes sense. You know who I'm going at 16, right? I'm at 19, sorry. You know who I'm going at
Got to
19?
be Kansas.
It's got to be Kansas. What else? Who else? Who else to be number 19? The Jayhawks. You know I'm rocking with them. They've just been amazing to this point, and they've already. If you go back to our college football preview podcast, you remember what I said on their over under?
Probably even with like 3 wins.
2.5 was the over under for them, and you know what I said?
Under.
I think you did as well.
I think I did too.
So Kansas, congratulations! You beat that a long time ago. They did help our Duke one that go stay the same though, because I had Duke going even. So if they stay at 3 wins the rest of the year, but Kansas, congrats! You're number 19. Until you lose, you're going to stay in my rankings.
Number 19, I got a new team, Minnesota. Minnesota looked dominant last week against Michigan State team. They've looked dominant all year, really. So Minnesota, I mean, they were right on the outside last week. They just had to win that game, and they did more than that. So yeah, I've got Minnesota at 19. They look amazing.
Yeah, I'll talk about Minnesota in a little more. A lot of people were high on them, and I didn't buy into the hype, but I am now. I'm buying all the way in. 18 for me, dropping. I think I had Oklahoma at 4 last week, didn't I? Yeah, dropping 14 spots. Oklahoma is number 18 for me. You give up that many points to a running offense that I feel like you knew that's what he was going to do. He definitely should have beat you with his arm, not his legs. You knew he could beat you with his legs,
Right.
So I am concerned with Oklahoma. I will say that I don't know how good Oklahoma State's going to be yet, but I am definitely regretting my Big 12 decision. But like I say, Oklahoma State struggles with Oklahoma no matter how good Oklahoma is. So I could be still right about that. But right now, they sure did not look good last weekend. They are my 18 rank.
My 18, I have actually moving up 3 spots. I have Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest proved that they can contend with these top 10 teams, which even more puts them in a higher ranking than I would say. I think this loss actually helps them more than it hurts.
Right.
So I think Wake Forest looked more than capable. They should have probably won the game, but they just couldn't hold on in the end.
And I would chalk that up, honestly. That they controlled the game in the second half. And I would say that's when Tennessee plays Georgia or Arkansas and Alabama last year. Like, you can't hold on because that's still there, Like, it's still Clemson. And I think that's why Wake Forest lost that game is because, they just can't beat Clemson.
Yeah, it's more of a mindset thing.
Right.
I think if that's a team like NC State, they probably beat them. A team like Penn State, they probably win that. A team like any team, like the majority of the teams I have above them, they maybe win that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I will say this now before it's too late. I think they are I don't know where them and NC State play at this year, but if it's at Wake Forest, I think they will win that game. I think they're a better team because that offense is explosive.
Yeah, I see it. That's why I have Wake at 18.
17 for me is going to be Oregon. I can't remember where they were at. I think we're 15, so I think they dropped back 2 after their win last week. I'm big on Washington State, but it took Oregon, and this is again another thing like we talk about. Like I just said, Clemson and Wake. Clemson took over. I think Oregon took over late against Washington State because Oregon's that name, and Washington State's never been able to beat Oregon when Oregon's been a powerhouse. So, I think it was more of the same this week. And I think I think Washington State wins this game against mostly anybody else. So I wasn't impressed by Oregon. 29 points in the fourth quarter is the only reason they won. And I think they will suffer 2 or 3 more losses this year.
Okay. 17, I have Baylor. Baylor went on the road to beat Iowa State. Now Iowa State's not like a great team, but it's a solid in-conference win. So I feel like I have to give Baylor a little bit of props for that. They are actually going up 3 from their ranking last week.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have Baylor in your? You said Baylor, right?
They're 23 for me.
23. Okay, yeah. So I'm a little higher on Baylor. I think they're coming together a little bit.
I
But
think
I
so
don't
too.
think they're amazing.
I don't want to jump the ship on them because I feel like if I put them all the way up there, they're going to lose this week and come back out anyway. So I'm going to leave them at the door.
Okay.
Utah is number 16 for me. The Florida loss just looks worse and worse, and it's going to continue to look worse and worse. Florida may lose to Missouri and South Carolina. Utah is fine. I mean, they're a top 25 team right now. Until they get a win like they got to get this week because they play Oregon State. That'll be a decent win. They'll move up a little for me if they win this week.
16. Yeah, I got Oklahoma here at 16.
Mm-hmm.
Just disappointing. But I didn't want to. I still feel like they could beat a Baylor. I still feel like they'd beat a team like, I don't know. There's like no other like Big 12. Like they'll beat a Texas. I think they're the second best team in the Big 12 as of right now. But they could still beat a team like Oklahoma State. I think they're better. Like I think they have a better roster.
I do too, and I certainly think that it's not over for the Sooners. I'm not saying that the season's over because you still have just as good of a chance as anybody else in the Pac-12 to win out. Figure everything out, win out, and I think you still have a shot at the playoff.
I agree.
I don't think you're done. So, I mean, keep playing. Right now, you know you're not going to have a bunch of respect, but that's okay. And you just have to earn it back. And I mean, they will. They'll be fine.
They're definitely capable.
Florida State's going to be 15th for me. They are just exceeding expectations, and they look amazing. So, give me Florida State at 15.
Wow. 15, I have Ole Miss. They actually, I want to say they dropped. Oh, no, never mind. They were 15 for me last week. This win didn't help them. It definitely hurt them. Oklahoma going down kind of swapped it up for me. But, yeah, I have Ole Miss. I don't really believe. I don't think they're that good. With a win next week, however, it could definitely boost them for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just so much to unfold in the upcoming weeks. You ready for 14 for me? If you had to guess what team I put at 14. Okay. Yes, Minnesota is my 14th ranked team in the country. Why? Because if they're as dominant as they looked last weekend, I think they can beat any of the 11 teams I put behind them. And I don't know how much it is actually. And so, but I think they're really good. And I think I've seen a lot of people say, and I thought it was just, Big Ten, how they overhype everything. I think that they could definitely contend with Ohio State in the conference championship at the end of the year.
Interesting. I personally don't think that. They just gotta, because I don't know if it's a thing of Michigan State is just bad now.
True.
I don't know where to. I need to see more.
Right.
I just need to see more. 14 for me. I have Penn State here. They looked solid last week. I just think the teams ahead of them are better, so it's just hard to tell.
Sorry. Who'd you say at 14?
I have Penn State.
Penn State.
Yeah.
Interesting. Man, that's not big on the Big 12 at all, are you?
I'm not. I don't. Big 10. I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay. I'm overhyping them right now, probably. But yes, I think they'll even out at the end of the year. 13 for me is going to be Ole Miss. I think they didn't look very good because I think they're looking to next week, and certainly think that they're going to beat Kentucky. I would almost put money on it.
Mm. I think they will too, though.
The
But
line is, I believe, the line is 6.5.
I saw it at 7. It's at 7 from what I saw.
Oh, okay.
But
Would you take that? I don't know that I'd take that.
I wouldn't take that. No.
I think it would be. I think it's going to be about 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's closer than 7. I think that's just a crazy line to have, but
I think that's a weird line. I would say Ole Miss by 2.5. That would be my. That's what mine would be.
yeah. My 13, I have Tennessee. Are they going up or down? Or no, sorry. Oh my God, I'm reading from last week. Okay, wait. Okay, so my 14 is actually Oregon. Sorry, my 14 is actually Oregon. My quick spill on Oregon. They look kind of up and down. I'm happy that they pulled it out though. But they did. They went up. What am I doing? Anyways, Oregon's just up and down. And then my 13, I have Washington here. I think I like what Washington has showed me. I think they're better than Oregon as of right now.
Okay. Yeah. I'm obviously big on Washington. You know that. So my 12 is going to be Kentucky. Like I say, I honestly think the reason that Kentucky's the 7th team in the country is because they're in the SEC. I think if they were in any other conference, they would not be ranked 7th in the country. I think that is SEC biased. I certainly don't think they're the number 7 team in the country. They're my number 12, and I think they'll fall even lower because I do think they'll lose this Saturday.
Yeah, I also have Kentucky at 12.
Okay, yeah.
So
I figure we agreed on that one.
yeah.
11. Sorry, I'm trying to get these tickets in my wallet. At 11 for me is Washington. That offense is absurd right now. I think that Michael Penix may just win the Heisman. Hot take. He may just win the Heisman as long as he keeps this up consistently, playing in the Pac-12 every week. He may run away with it.
He could.
He certainly could. If he could get a big win like USC or Utah, it's in the door. I mean, it's out. It's gone. Be number 11. But I think that offense is really good. They're number 11 for me. They're going to be higher this week after NC State falls out the top 10.
Interesting. Number 11, I have Penn State here. Sorry, they're not 13 or 14. I have Penn State at 11. I didn't think I had them that low, but yeah, I think Penn State looks decent. They look pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too. A while ago, you ragged them, but okay.
No, I just wasn't high on the Big Ten. Yeah. Their win last week still didn't look like if they win by like 30 or like 40, then I'd probably put them top 10. But
yeah. 10 for me. The Volunteers, Tennessee. I think I had them at 10 last week. I don't think they had any movement, solely because I don't value that Florida win at home much at all, especially by 5 points at home against a not very good Florida team. I think Anthony Richardson did look good, but it's hard not to. Neither team plays any defense.
Right, yeah.
No, Tennessee's not back. All it's going to take is Georgia to steal their thunder, and they're done. Write that down.
Facts.
But Tennessee's at 10 right now. I think their offense is very talented, and I do think they'll go in the East now. That you got to realize how bad the East is. Besides Kentucky and Georgia, I think they lose those two probably, and they lose Alabama. I think they go 9-3 this year. They may beat Kentucky, 9-3, 10-2, but it's not because they're that impressive. I think Wake Forest and Tennessee are so similar.
Okay. My number 10, I got a little hot take. I got Utah at number 10. Utah, I know they lost to Florida week 1. I don't care about that loss anymore. They haven't skipped a beat the past 3 weeks. So, and I think Utah is creeping back into that top 10. I have them there for me. I think they're just slightly better than a team like Kentucky, Penn State. Washington, you could debate with me. I just have Washington 13. I just have to see it a little bit more. But yeah, give me Utah at 10.
Yeah, Utah. I'm just scared a little bit. I'm a little skittish of Utah because I just know what waits on their schedule, and I don't know that they've already buried themselves a little bit because they lost one game early that they shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if they don't lose that game, they can somehow find a way. Even if they do lose to USC, it just feels like too much to overcome for Utah, especially to make a playoff. But I do think they may end the year at a top. I think they get another Rose Bowl bid like last year, probably. Because if the Pac-12 gets a playoff team, I'll say that. Number 9 for me, North Carolina State. I had them at 15 last week. I remember I told you that. The defense is really, really good. I will say that. I'm gonna, I don't like the Wolfpack. That's a bitter rivalry.
Right.
I'm putting you here, Wolfpack, so you can have fun for a week. Because when you come to Clemson this week, it's going to be rough for you.
Mm.
And here's why. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this a little bit since we're on NC State. They haven't played a great defense like they're going to. As conservative as NC State's offense is against the Clemson defense like that can be against the run, I think they'll struggle. And I think that NC State is they're going to get beat, obviously. But this is their first ever top 10 matchup. Ever. First time they've ever been ranked in the top 10 and played a top 10 team.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
It's Clemson's 27th. Experience will take over. It's at Clemson at night, prime time. You know how that goes usually.
Mm-hmm.
I'd hate to be NC State this week. But enjoy your time in the top 10 because it's not going to last long.
Number 9, I got Tennessee here. I have Tennessee here.
No, not because Tennessee. I'm just wondering where everybody else is going to go.
What do you mean? Who else do I have left?
North Carolina State.
Yeah. Tennessee at 9.
Okay.
I just think Tennessee's offense has looked dynamic. They just beat a Florida team. Say what you want about Florida. They didn't have their top receiver. Now, yeah, the defense does scare me a little bit, but they say sometimes the best defense is double the offense. So, and they're putting up triple the offense, if we're being honest. So that's why I got Tennessee. And I feel like the defense has potential to come together. I think they just run such a quick pace. Mm-hmm. It's hard to keep the other team off the field. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go Tennessee at 9 right there.
Did Georgia go to Rocky Top this year, or is it in Athens?
Gotta check. Georgia. No, it's at home. It's in Athens.
Never mind. Yeah, number 8. You know where I'm going here. Penn State. I'm going Penn State at 8.
Jesus Christ.
Great 8 Penn State. Give me Singletary. Give me Sean Clifford.
That's not his name.
What?
It's Singleton.
Give me I don't care. Singleton. What does it matter? That defense is going to do enough. That defense is great. Penn State's great. Give me State at number 8.
Okay, number 8, I got the other state, NC State. So, is that too high?
I mean, it doesn't matter.
I mean, you had them at what, 9? I have them at 8. I think they're better than Tennessee.
I can agree that they play better defense.
Yeah. I think they're just more consistent.
They're more solid.
They showed us some life. I know it was UConn, but they showed us some life regardless.
According to TikTok, UConn's the best team in the
They
country.
scored points. They played defense, and it sets them up in an interesting matchup against Clemson. I'm not saying I don't think they get blown out here. I think
I'm not saying they get blown
it's
out.
an interesting matchup for sure.
It is. Number 7, the Cowboys. They're kind of that under the radar team. They're staying between 6 and 9 in the rankings. They're very underrated to me. I'd be careful. Spencer Sanders is no joke. Oklahoma State's at 7 for me. I could definitely see them jumping USC soon.
My number 7, I also have Oklahoma State
Okay.
for the same reasons. They're just defense is amazing, offense is amazing. They're just an amazing team, pretty much.
USC is number 6 for me. They look bad. They didn't look great last week, but I do think we will see that's a different Oregon State team than we've seen in the years past. So they're at 7. I'm at 6, sorry. And because Oklahoma lost, obviously.
My number 6, I have Michigan here. Michigan just looked super concerning against a Maryland team who I don't put a. I think Maryland is okay, but for this to be their first test, it just looked like not a great show for your first test.
Right. What did we say last week? What did I say last week?
You said it could be close. I said I expected them to blow them out, and they let me down. So they have to get downgraded this week.
Well, I said when you play 3 teams with no pulse or resistance whatsoever, like those teams, you're going to look like you haven't played a game yet because you really haven't.
Right.
And I think we all expected to see J.J. McCarthy and that Michigan offense to be explosive and to be able to compete with Ohio State, and we didn't see that. We saw the Michigan we've seen the past 10 years on offense. The basic run the ball. Quarterback's going to throw for 200 yards, but the running back's going to run all over the deep. And that's fine in the Big Ten. You can do that, but when you can't do that is when Ohio State's scoring every drive on you. So I think that this Michigan team right now looks a lot like they did last year. And I know they made the playoff last year, but I think there's a lot better teams this year than there were last year. And that's leading me into my number 5 is Michigan. They got dropped a spot. I don't remember if I had them where I had them last week. They may have went up a spot. I don't know. But they're going to be 5 for me. I think they stayed the same because Oklahoma was 4, and I think Clemson was 7, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, Michigan just kind of boring. I need to see more. I need to see more, especially with a weak non-conference schedule like that.
Yeah, my number 5, I have Clemson here. Just looked shaky. Yes, it's good that the offense was able to score 50 points. But for a team that we know that has such a dominant defense, I don't know a defense who's giving up 40 points with their caliber, their type of respect. Yes, the game did go double OT.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're gonna. I guess you could say that's why they gave up 40, but still, it's just a little concerning. So yeah, I have them at 5. I'm gonna go Clemson at 5.
Yeah, I agree. Will they win this weekend? No matter what, just a win, not convincing, not a win. Do they jump USC for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They just got to be back to that defense. If they can keep that semi-level decent offense and then the amazing defense, then they'll jump them.
Right, and I will say I saw a stat the other day of the points allowed the last time they won 2016 when they won the Natty and they had such a good defense. They had that Pitt game where they gave up 43 and lost. So I mean. It could definitely return back, and I think it probably will this weekend because they're going to hear all week that they're not playing to the level that they're supposed to, and all. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
I think with a win this weekend, they're definitely a top 4 team in the country. But they are my number 4 because they look better than Michigan, and the way USC played against Oregon State, kind of the offense didn't look good, if they would have looked good, they would be number 4 to me.
Mhm.
But I'm going to put Clemson at 4 just because I just feel like those 3 right now are just a toss up. So I'm just going to put them at 4.
Yeah, I just have USC at 4 because I don't know. This might be biased. I like USC a little bit better. I like the way they play.
Mhm.
I like offense more than defense. Do I think USC is better as a team? No. But I think as of with last week, how Clemson barely snuck it out, I think Oregon State is a really solid team in their own right. I do. I'll give them their props. Oregon State is very solid. They've looked that way for 4 weeks straight now, and so. But I am going to give the edge to USC slightly over Clemson. I just think the offense is a little more dynamic. The defense did perform. USC only gave up 14 points, which we haven't seen that defense look that good yet this year. So, but they're neck and neck. They're interchangeable, 1A, 1B.
I agree. 3 for me. I don't remember who I went. I wanted to go Alabama at 3 right here, but I mean the offense looked great against Vandy, and I know it's just Vandy. And on my rankings, I did write Ohio State at 3, but I feel like against a pulse of a defense, I think Wisconsin has a pulse. I think their defense is decent. I don't think Vandy has anything, so I'm actually going to say Alabama's at 3. I'm gonna go with a hot take right there. I told you if Ohio State looked great against Wisconsin, I was going. And I didn't write it down, but I'm gonna go with it. I mean, why not? I think Ohio State's looked like the better team to this point.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it with Ohio State at 3. I just think until something drastic happens or like something eye opening, then I have no reason to change it. So
Right. I'm just doing it for fun because the top 5, 6 are probably going to stay the same for a long time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to switch it up. Ohio State's at 2 and Georgia's at 1. Georgia don't have another tough week because you know how the AP voters are.
They could get dropped. They could get dropped in my poll.
In my opinion, Georgia plays better when they're not number 1. When they're number 1, they don't play very good for whatever reason.
It's probably an ego thing.
Probably.
Complacent.
Probably. But they're number 1 still. I know they didn't look good, but I mean, it happens. It's part of football. Everybody wants to slam everybody. I mean, they slam Alabama if they would have done that. They'd slam Clemson if they'd have done that. Georgia just looked human. It's part of it. They turned the ball over 3 times. That's going to happen.
Right.
And
the offense is far from, I think, where it'll be in a few weeks. I think they exceeded expectations in the beginning, and now they're coming back down to earth. While the defense, I also could say the defense exceeded expectations. I came into the year, I don't think Georgia's the best team. If I'm not mistaken, I had Georgia like number 3. I also had Notre Dame, which we saw that is going.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but I think I had Georgia as the 3rd best team, and I really do think they're the 3rd best team. But while they've looked so dominant, I can't not put them on.
Right, and I can bounce off what you said. I do think that the offense just was so good, and I think they just came in riding high off a national championship. I think like with a Clemson or Alabama or Ohio State, maybe you see a little national championship hangover. But since it's been so long since Georgia's won one, and they win one, and the whole campus is just lit up and everything's just alive, I think that's why they came in riding so high, because they were excited to get back out there,
Right, yeah.
And so I feel like they were just riding high coming in, and we knew that offense was not going to look every week like they did against Oregon, partially because of Oregon's defense and partially because the offense is good, but it's not that good.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they just came back down to earth a little bit. And Ladd McConkey, he had 2 fumbles, and he just had a bad week. Stetson Bennett threw a interception, it wasn't really a bad interception. Safety made a good play on the ball. I'm not looking I'm not looking too deep into it. It's Kent State. Kent State did make $5 million this year, though, playing Washington, Oklahoma, and Georgia.
Good for them.
I remember when you said Kent State may beat Washington. I remember that.
I remember that too. And now Washington's almost top 10.
Right. But I'm excited for this week. We'll go over the games. We're not gonna pick them till Saturday morning, right? Is that when we plan on doing it? We'll talk about that at the end. But Saturday's a big slate of games if I can get it to load. So Friday, tomorrow night, Washington goes to UCLA tomorrow night at 10:30. Could be a trap game. UCLA's 4-0.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
Yeah, me either.
That one's odd.
We do need to pick that one though. I'll go ahead and write it down.
Yeah.
Well, I'll write it down in a minute. Washington or who you got there? We'll just go ahead and pick it since we are going to do another show on Saturday morning.
Washington.
Yeah, I'm going to go Washington, but I think it's really close. I think it's like a high score in the game. I'd say it's going to be like 48-41.
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah,
but I could see it though. I could.
We're not harp on these. I'm just going to run through the games. Michigan goes to Iowa. Tricky game. Iowa's offense sucks, though. Kentucky at Ole Miss. We talked about it already. Oklahoma, kind of a weird one, goes to TCU, who's undefeated. Purdue at Minnesota. Texas Tech at Kansas State. Let's see. Oregon State at Utah. We mentioned that earlier. Alabama goes to Arkansas. Oklahoma State at Baylor. I mean, there's just so many top 25.
Yeah, we're getting into the conference games too.
Right.
So
right
now it starts to be like, it could really go either way, honestly.
Right. And now Oklahoma State goes to Baylor. I think I just said that. Wake Forest goes to Florida State if weather permits. Iowa State and Kansas. I'm hyped for that one. Are you going to Maryland Saturday?
What day is Saturday?
The 1st.
Keep you updated on that. We'll see.
Darren may be headed to Maryland on Saturday. I'm trying to see.
What time is the game? 3:30?
3:30.
I'll keep you updated.
NC State and Clemson, we mentioned that. A tricky game right here that I could see going. Well, West Virginia at Texas, that could be a good game. Virginia at Duke. That one I think Duke can actually get another win out of. But Sunday we do have some football too because of the weather. Eastern Washington goes to Florida and SMU at UCF. That game.
Really?
That game's a tough one.
That is tough.
But we will have a performer of the week. Sorry, performer. Of the week.
Right.
I'm gonna just go ahead and say mine. You know who mine is. Not being biased, I just think it was a really kind of a statement game. DJ Uiagalelei. I mean, he looked great. I mean, to overcome what he's overcome the last year, all the hate, all the slander he's gotten for not being Trevor and not being Deshaun Watson. He arguably his best start of his career. He goes out there and he puts up 371 yards and he throws 5 touchdowns.
Right, yeah.
He also rushed for 50 yards. So, I mean, and on top of that, his running back had 139 yards. So, I mean, without his leadership, I don't think they win that game. Like, he kept them in that game whenever the defense couldn't stop a soul. And he's my performer of the week. I'm excited to see what he does from here on out. Statistically, he's been one of the better quarterbacks in the country, underrated because of he's overshadowed by the year he had last year. But statistically, he's had one of the better years in the country. He's just been overshadowed.
Right. Yeah, my performer of the week, I mean, this is pretty obvious to me. It's got to be Adrian Martinez from Kansas State. Just putting on a clinic. Just Lamar Jackson Jr. against Oklahoma. Ran for 4 TDs, almost 150 yards. Just dominant. to lead his team on the road. Even is just MVP caliber performance.
Right, and I'm actually going to make a correction here, and I'm going to go Co
Okay.
player of the week, and
Right.
I'm going to go DJ, not with Adrian Martinez. I'm going DJU and Blake Corum. We had to talk about Blake Corum, 260 yards in college football games is nothing to play with. 230, sorry. So I mean, he's got to be mentioned. I mean, that's insane.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
So I'm gonna
I
go
wasn't gonna-
Co. I'm gonna go Co there.
Okay.
But like I mentioned before, another great week of college football. It seems to never disappoint. But we will have a show. I've got to leave by 12 and get it because I'm going to the Clemson NC State game. Just bought my tickets. So we'll probably go live at 9 or 10. I'll post on Twitter and Instagram. I'll try to post on there what time it goes live, and I'll go ahead and schedule it. The episode whenever we come up with a time, I'll schedule it on YouTube so you can see it. And we'll go live Saturday morning. Tune in. We'll predict all the games. We'll in-depth talk about them. Lots of top 25 matchups.
Yep.
Big time weekend. First weekend of like straight conference matchups for the most part. And just a really exciting week in college football. I think we may even start doing a little Heisman watch next week because it's kind of getting that time.
Yeah, for sure. I'm down.
So Darren may be tuning into the Maryland game this weekend, Maryland, Michigan State.
We'll see. It's supposed to rain, but I'm gonna see what I can do.
Right. And I'm going to Clemson NC State, like I just mentioned. So I'm excited for this weekend. It's going to be a great weekend. And, fun time.
Let's do it.
So let's get it. Another week of college football. It's flying by. It needs to slow down.
It is. It's going very fast.
I mean, this is the 5th week of the year. 6th week if you count week 0. And, I mean, I feel like it just started. Like we were just prepping for it the other day.
I know.
But anyway, tune in Saturday morning. I'll post what time. We're going to pick them. And go follow on the socials, Out of Bounds Pods. Like and subscribe this. We've got up to 20 subscribers now. Need more.
Yep.
Keep bringing that.
Run it up.
Run it up.
Tell your
that's
friends.
all I got. Tell your friends.